Hey everybody, this is Mika and I'm back. Guys, I'm here today and this one series I started to talk about from the other new channel that we created. We started a new channel called SNN, Swahili Nation Network, and that is specifically for African language. So we are using Swahili language. If you're interested in learning, understand the language, please head over to that. Link is in the description. Subscribe and see, right? The things about leadership, I've always been talking about this for the past 6 years. It has been my passion. It's been something that I'm growing in, something that I'm learning, and I've just decided to carry on with this series here on the English channel as well, our main channel. So I'm going to talk a little bit for a while about leadership. But the concept of that is I want to talk about politics. I want to talk about leadership as well. For us, we have to understand what is politics and what do politicians do. All right. Is politician leader as well? Can somebody be politician and be a leader at the same time? Can someone be a leader without being politician? All these are kind of questions that we might be asking ourselves. And I think it is very important for us to dive into this topic freely and honestly to talk about them. For the betterment of our people, because what we do here in Swahili Nation, one of our missions is to decolonize the mind through authentic knowledge, and this helps us to actually prepare the next generation, to prepare the current generation and even the next one as well for the leadership. Because if we want to see transformation in Africa, I believe one of the very key important things that we need to focus on is to have transformational leaders in the continent, so that we can have people who really value the continent, who really understand the value that is in the continent and within the people as well. A lot of time we talk about the resources that are in the continent, but one resources we always leave aside is that people are the most precious, more valuable resources that we have in the continent, apart from diamond, apart from gold or tanzanite. But people is everything, and we have a huge number of people in Africa, and majority of these people are younger generation, below 30 years of age. These are very young people. I'm not there anymore. I just turned 33, so I'm kind of getting old, but that is the number that we have in the continent, and we have to invest with everything we got in the next generation and raise a generation that will understand the meaning of leadership, will understand the meaning of politics, and will actually work for the betterment and benefit of our people, and not otherwise. Maybe perhaps we're a little bit late right now because the current leadership in Africa is actually letting us down over and over and over again. But there's a hope because they're not going to stay there for a very long time. This generation is actually fading away, and now we have millennials. Millennials are actually taking over, but as well as Gen Z are taking over right now. So millennium, we're kind of like stepping up right now, but we have Gen Z right behind us, and I think there's a crisis of leadership in Africa, and it's an urgent call for us to do everything we can to raise leaders that will actually work for the people. Let me start talking about leadership, by the way, and then I'm going to come back, talk about politics as well, because this is very dear to my heart. So I just came from prison. I don't know if you guys, I was in prison for 1 month and approximately 2 weeks. And I was taken there for the case of treason, right? Apparently, I was charged with treason case, and it is because of what happened on 29th of December, the protest that was prepared to happen here in Tanzania during the election. And I've decided on that day to actually go to Dar es Salaam to film everything that was happening, so that you guys may see what is happening, and to just record, because it was an historical event. It never happened before. This was the very first time for people of Tanzania to demonstrate. And I remember I made a video about that you have to pray for Tanzania, because I don't know what is going to happen. That was 2 a.m. of 28th of October, right? So the next day, it was the day of demonstrations, and I left the city where I am, going to Dar es Salaam to actually take the footage, because I've always been doing that. I've been to Ethiopia, I've been to South Africa, I've been to Kenya, I've been to Uganda, I've been to Rwanda, I've been going there to find content, and so I was heading there to actually film what is happening. I think if you have heard what has happened, I think you've seen. So because of that, I was actually captured by the police and charged with treason, and I was brought to prison. So I was there for 1 month and a couple of days. Anyways, that's a story for another time. You guys, you'll definitely know that story. I will tell one day, but it's a story for another time. So because of that, I think while I was then in prison, I've been really meditating. I've been praying. I prayed a lot in prison, more than I prayed in my life, right? I read the Bible. I read the books. And one of the books, one of my spiritual father actually brought to me, of John C. Maxwell. It says, developing the leader within you. All right, developing the leader within you. By the way, I'm still in Tanzania, the place where I was locked up for 1 month and almost 2 weeks. I'm still right here. We're still fighting for the continent. We're still fighting for our countries, and we still want the better, the better life for Africa, the life that we deserve to live in. Right. That is the only reason why I'm in the continent. All right. I had so many opportunities to be away from the continent, but I decided to come in the continent because I have a mission, because I am called for this. I'm called to unite my people. I am called to fight for Africa, and we're going to do everything we can within our power to do it. We have already been to prison, so I don't know what the next challenge is going to be, but we're ready for anything that is ahead of us, and God with us, and we are going to see what we want to see in our continent. We're going to see continent transformed. We're going to see continent change. We're going to see all of that. So I'm very excited, and I fear nothing right now. I fear nothing, and I thank God for what He has given me and the opportunity to be alive and to do this again with you. So guys, please don't take me for granted. I've been to prison, and I am here right now talking to you, all right? The mission is alive and well, and we're moving forward, all right? You'll hear the story. The time will come, and I'm doing something, so I think you'll be able to hear one day. All right, so this book, when I opened this book, the first line that I found on this book was everything falls and rises on leadership. Everything falls and rises on leadership. That was the very first statement I found when I opened. And while I was meditating, I realized that is so true. If you see things are going well, it is because of leadership. If you see things are going not so well, it is because of leadership. Why leadership? Because leadership is the catalyst of change. Leader are people that are supposed to have skills, influence, determination, talent to be able to organize the people towards the common goal of a country, of a continent, or of a certain organization, right? Leader has to be like that. So if you see things are not happening in the continent, the problem is leadership. If you see things are not going so well, the problem is leadership. We failed to manage. One day the ex-president of Tanzania, John Pombe Magufuli, he once said that the reason why Africa it is where it is because of mismanagement of the resources and misuse of public fund. Again, that is mismanagement, the lack of management, and that is leadership. Leaders are there to manage things. The leaders are there to show direction. Literally to show direction. Leaders are there to listen to the people, what they want, because people are the bosses. And after listening, you collect all the thoughts of everybody, and then you point direction that, okay, this is the direction you're going to go. Not because you're very smart, not because that is your own direction. No. You're not there to fulfill your own desire, but you're there to fulfill the desire of the people. You are there to fulfill the desire. What does the people want? That is the very important question to ask as a leader. What can I serve? How can I serve better these people? It is all about service. It is all about serving the people that have trusted you with their lives, because you're there as a one person, but you have millions of people that you're leading, and their lives depend on you. Their improvement depends on you. Their development depends on you. So whatever you make, whatever decision you do today is going to affect millions of people, right? So it's not about you, but it's about listening to the people, looking at what they want and actually doing that. So let me define a little bit about leadership. What is leadership? Leadership, I had to write down so that, guys, we may go in a very way that people can understand and learn. And if you have your notes and pen, you can actually take notes and learn these things. These things are very important to actually remind ourselves. And I'm doing this for the sake of Gen Z men and Gen Alpha, because those are people that I really want to invest, for the betterment of this continent in a couple of years from now. So what is leadership? Leadership is the ability to influence, guide, and inspire people towards a shared vision or goal using character, wisdom, and responsibility. All right, so you have a common goal. This is the goal that we want to see Africa that is changed. We want to see Africa that is independent. We don't rely on foreign aid, but we actually generate income, we generate profit, we generate capital in our own countries and move continent in a better position. That is the common goal. So how are we going to get there? How are we going to get there? That is actually the mission. We have a goal, we have a vision. How? That's now is the mission. So it is the ability to influence. Why? Because you are there leading the group of people. If you don't have influence over them, you cannot really lead them. You cannot really guide them. You cannot really show them direction. Guide. Okay. So as a leader, you must actually have an idea of a way. You might not know fully per se, but you have an idea to guide people that, okay, no, this is not. We have to go through this direction. That's why each country, they have constitution, they help them to guide. As a leader, you're not there to just do what you want to do. You are there to do what you are instructed to do by the bosses who have employed or hired you. And those are the people. Right, so power is in the people, and you are there to follow direction, and you're there to show direction based on what the people want, and inspire people. Sometimes people are getting tired; they don't want to move forward. You have to be able to inspire them. You have to be able to revive them again. That, okay, this is the way. I know you're tired. I know you don't want to move anymore. I know you don't want to live in the continent anymore. You are tired of this continent. You see, there's no change. You see, people are continuing to die. You see, the life is not better. We don't have electricity. You don't have water. I know that life is difficult. There's no employment. There's no opportunities for youth in the continent. I know that is the problem. But guess what? We have something to do about this. Don't ask what this country will do to me. You remember one of the president of the United States who once said that, but ask, how can I provide to my country? How can I contribute to the development of my country? You have to think about that and then take one step at a time towards the goal. And that is bringing about transformation in the continent. So it's inspiring people towards a shared vision. This vision is not your personal vision. Because it's going to be really hard to take all 1.5 billion people in the continent towards your own goal to move. No, it has to be shared vision, common goal. And how can you know that? Because you have already listened to the people what they want, and you write it down. That, okay, this is where we're going to go. Not because I've decided, but because people want this. And people will easily follow you. Okay, using character, wisdom, and responsibility. So these are actually qualities of the leader. Leader must be wise. Leader must be a person of character, and also responsibility. Must know that leadership is not about complaining. Leadership is about taking duty. Leadership is not a position. It's not a chair. Leadership is actually responsibility. Leadership is a burden. Leadership is a servanthood. Leadership is you are there to serve and not to be saved. Your first priority is to save. And eventually, actually, by default, people will come and serve you as you're serving them. So leadership is all about giving and not taking away from people. That is leadership. So in short terms, we can say leadership is not about position or power. I've already said that. It's about service, direction, and impact. It's about service. It's about serving. How can I serve better? That's the first question that you have to ask as a leader. All right. It is about direction. After you listen to the people, now you have an idea. You already wrote down. You have an idea that this, I think, is the direction that the people wants to go. So here we're going. And at the end, it leads to impact. You'll definitely have positive impacts. Why? Because you are there to serve, and people know that you're serving them. You're showing them direction, and by default, the impact will be there. So who is the leader? That is leadership. But who is the leader? A leader is a person who serves others by guiding, influencing, and taking responsibility for the well-being and direction of the group, community, or nation. It's basically leadership we've already seen. Now it's a leader. So leader is someone who is there to serve others by guiding, the same thing we're saying, influencing, taking responsibility. You are there in front leading them for the sake of the well-being of the people. That is the very important point to highlight on. The goal, the motivation within the heart of the leader, it is that the well-being of the people. I want my people to live better. I want my people to have a better future. I want my people to be secured. That is the motivation behind a leader. If you don't want your people to be well-being of, then you don't deserve to be a leader. All right. And for the well-being of the community, community or group of people or nation and large. So a true leader, that is the leader. But we have true leader and false leader, right? So who is the true leader? True leader is there to serve others before being served. So think about the leadership in Africa. Think about the leaders we do have. And by the way, all of us, we are leaders. So you might be thinking about the president, prime minister, but you are a leader as well of your own life. In your community, if you have, young sister, young brother, in a family, in any group of whatever setting you have, are you serving them? Or are you seeking someone to serve you? I'm actually asking even myself right now in Swahili Nation, am I here to really serve the people that I'm leading? Or I am here to be served? Am I showing the direction of where we are supposed to go? Because if you're stuck in your country, in your nation, in the continent, in your organization, it is because you failed to show direction. So leader will not settle. Leader cannot relax. You'll be reading, you'll be studying, you'll be finding information every single day. Why? Because you need to grow. And the company, organization, or the country can only grow in a capacity of leaders' growth. So you cannot lead people to a place where you're not there. You cannot grow your community if you don't have growth in your life. So the extent of your growth, that is actually will reflect in the growth of your organization or your country or anything. So the more you grow, the more your organization grow, the more your country grow, the more Africa grow. Leader has to be someone who is always hungry, always thirsty, always want to see something, always learning new things, because that is the only way that you can lead people to. You cannot lead people where you're not at. No, wherever you are, you actually represent your people and people will follow you. So if you're not growing, organization, company, the nation, whatever, it will not grow. That is actually a common sense, Put the common good above personal gain. Forget about your personal gain. How much money am I going to be paid? What can I get from this? No. Remember, the main question in leadership is how can I serve better? Common good. Listen to the people. Leadership is all about listening. Listening is leadership. Listening is leadership. A leader who listens to the people serve. A leader who does not listen to the people rule. That is by Mika Chavala. If you don't listen, you're ruling people because you don't really know where they want to be led to. So it actually means you're a dictator. You're dictating everything. You're one person, you're leading 60, 70, 100 million people. Do you think you're smarter more than them? You better listen to the people. Leadership, it has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with selfishness. It has nothing to do with your common goal. No. I mean, your own goal. No. It has everything to do with the collective goal. Listen to the people. A true leader protects the vulnerable. You are there to protect the vulnerable people. You're not there to just to serve the people with money because they'll give you something. You don't have that mindset. You're there to lift these people who are living under $1, to lift them somewhere so they can start enjoying life and not living, beyond $1, but it could be 10, even 20, even 100. That is your job, to lift up those who are below there, to bring them in a much higher place than the one that they used to be before, all right? Lead by example. A true leader lead by example, integrity, and sacrifice. Example. As you are leading people, people will look at you, people will listen to you, people will follow you. If you don't have integrity, if you don't show that leadership is all about sacrifice, it is not about getting things from people, but it's about giving. It's not about, going on a vacation, whatever. You can do vacation after you retire. But right now, it is about giving. It is about giving. It is about giving. It is about sacrificing. You can stay hungry for the sake of the rest of the people to have food. Leaders eat last. Actually, that's another book that I'm going to read after I finish this book. It's here. Leaders eat last. It's a book. Leaders eat last. That you cannot stay there and start eating before anybody else. No. You actually eat last. You are the first one to arrive. You are the last one to leave the room. That is leadership. That is integrity. Build others instead of using them. It's about building the people. Okay, so politicians, most of the time, they use people for voting. They use people for volunteering. They use people. But leaders, you're not using people. No, you are building them. You are building them to become a better person tomorrow. Somebody say, okay, since I got into this company until right now, I see that I'm not stacking. I'm actually growing. I'm actually improving. I started from the bottom and now I am here leading the organization. That is all about good leadership. So leadership is not about the title or power. It is about responsibility, service, and impact. I've said that. So in short, a leader is someone who uses their positions, gifts, and influence to uplift others and move them towards what is right and good. That is leader. You use what you have. You use the gifts that you have been given. You use your influence. You use even your money to some extent to uplift others. You're using this because your desire is to see people being lifted up, all right, towards what's right and good. You're leading them to what is right. I always say this, don't just do what is good, but do what is right, because sometimes good is not enough. But right thing, it will produce right results. That's all about leadership. And it's not easy. It is the sacrifice. Because you're giving. That's why most leaders are lonely. Why? Because they keep on giving and giving and giving. And sometimes you don't have anything in return, but you must keep on giving. A leader set a clear vision. You set a clear vision, and this vision, it's not coming from anywhere. You do research of what people want, where they want to be. Of course, as a leader, you have a vision already, but you have to correct your vision by listening to the people. Act with integrity and accountability. I've already spoke about that. Empowers others to grow and succeed. You're there to make decisions for the greater good. Not about individualistic, not about selfishness. No. What is the greater good? What do I want for the people? So if this decision, okay, it's not always about pleasing people. I gotta be very honest with that. Sometimes people, they don't even know what they want, but yet you still need to listen to them. And at the end of the day, you show them direction and lead and guide them into the right direction. Lead by example and not force. That's why I say a leader who listens, serve. A leader who does not listen, rule. You're not using force, you actually lead them. True leadership is measured not by authority, but by the lives it transforms. And that is the true meaning of true leadership. Everybody using power, everybody using authority, everybody commanding things. There's no freedom of speech, freedom of media, freedom of doing something. We're lacking freedom in the continent of Africa. Why? Because it's all about authority. If you say something against the government, you're going to go to prison. It's authority. No reasoning. But true leadership is measured by how many lives you transform. So if you're a leader, ask yourself, how many lives have you transformed so far? If nothing, then you failed as a leader. So leadership is about influence, serving, and direction. Focusing on guiding people towards a shared vision. Driven. Leadership is driven by purpose. This is another highlight I'm going to talk to you right now. Purpose, value, responsibility, and impact. So, as a leader, you must know these 5 questions by Miles Monroe. He once said, you must know who you are as a person. Where are you coming from? Why are you here? What can you do? And where are you going? So, knowing who you are is knowing your identity. If you don't know your identity, you can't lead people. If you don't know your source, where you're coming from, you cannot lead people. If you don't know why you're here, you can't lead people. So why are you here? That is your purpose. If you don't know what can you do, your potential, how can you lead people? If you don't know where you're going, destination, how can you lead people? Are you going to lead them towards, nothing? No. You must answer this question if you want to be a true leader, if you want to be a good leader. So now, true leadership is driven by a purpose, but knowing why you are here, why Africa is here, why your country is there, why your organization is there, why. There's a why behind everything, and you must discover and find your why before leading people. If you don't know your why, you're going to mislead people. And we've seen that a lot of time in the continent of Africa. You must know why to lead people towards the why. Purpose. What is your purpose? What are your values? What do you stand for? What do you stand for? Otherwise, it will be a chaos and responsibility that you always work towards a common good. Motivation. The motivation behind leadership is how do I serve, develop, and move people forward. I've already spoken about that. And our people are treated as partners in leadership, followers, and individuals with potential. When you look at this, when you look at, for example, politics is about treating them as voters, supporters, and numbers. So they don't really care about people. But leadership, you're treating them as partners, followers. You know that I need to be in a better place to lead these people. You care about the well-being of your life as well. You care about your mental health. Why? Because you're leading these people. You don't want to lead them astray. You are responsible for them. All right? And leadership, it's a long-term transformation. It's not about short-term that, we have already voted, I became a leader, that's enough. No, but it's a long-term to serve people. Where do you want these people to be? And ethics and characters in leadership anchored in integrity, accountability, and moral courage. I've spoken about that. Leadership change people, culture, and direction. You have to know that it is all about, if you change people, you're changing cultures and you're leading them towards a different direction. So if you get the worst leader of your life, the country is going to be led astray. The continent is going to be led astray. And the result, we know, it's not going to look good. The simple summary in leadership is that leadership asks questions like this: where are we going? And how are we going to get there together? Where are we going? That's the destination. That's a vision. How are we going to get there together? That is what? What can we do? How are we going to navigate through this journey together? So it's all about togetherness. It's not about individual. I want to wrap up this part with this statement that the greatest nations, organizations, or even the continent in this world are not struggling because of politics. They're struggling because of leadership. The lack of good leadership is what leads the organizations, the countries, the continent astray. The lack of good leadership is what causes the continent to be where it is today. We have to ask ourselves this question as I'm finishing up this first episode, that what we see happening in the continent of Africa, it is because of lack of leadership. Before, when we began with our nations, the continent really survived and moved from colonization to where it is today because of the strong, powerful leaders. People who always thought about, how can I serve better my people? How can I lead them to the promised land? And we're able to move from colonialism to independent countries. But from there, we needed a different kind of leadership that was supposed to move us from there to the complete independence. Because we have independence on papers, but now we need independence actually practical. We need to have that independence. And we need a type of leaders who will pick up the torch from our forefathers and lead us to that. But we have lack of that leadership until right now we're here. So now we see the sparkling of good leaders happening in the continent. We've seen John Pombe Magufuli, who died, rest in peace. Now we are seeing Ibrahim Traore. We see the sparkling, right? We see the signs of good leaders who actually can move us from where we are to a different position. So I'm asking this question, that where are those good leaders who can save us from the sufferings that the continent is going through today? Where are those good leaders? We need leaders who will be men of characters, men of determination, responsible people who will be able to move the continent from where it is today to the promised land. Because we're not there yet. We are still dependent. We can still not lead ourselves. And our people are still struggling and suffering. That's why Africans are running away every single day. But we need to be in a position where people will run towards Africa, because they know that life is much better in Africa than anywhere else. This is the question that we have to meditate on. And I want to leave you with this question. I believe it is possible for Africa to be changed. I believe it is possible to have good leaders. I believe it is possible to have people that have this hunger and thirst for the change in the continent. I believe because I look at myself. I don't get anything from what I do, but I wish the best for the continent. I want to see best thing happen in the continent. And that is what we need for this continent of Africa. So guys, let me know in the comment section, what do you think? What is leadership for you? And who is a leader for you? I want us to start that discussion in the comment section. And then perhaps we'll come to talk about politics. We'll come to talk about these two things. We'll come to talk about servanthood leadership. I said leadership. Leader is a servanthood. And that is the mentality of leadership, that you are there to serve and not to be served. We're going to come and talk about all of those. But in the meantime, let me know in the comment section what you think. And it's going to be amazing. Thank you guys for stopping by. Appreciate it. I love you. And I'll see you in the next one. Happy New Year, everybody. I'll see you very soon. There's so many exciting things this year. And I cannot wait to share with you as time goes by. So please stick around with us. Subscribe. And you will be blessed. Hallelujah. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.